The silence in our apartment was the loudest sound I had ever heard. It had been 3 weeks since Liam's accident, and the silence had become a physical entity, a suffocating presence that clung to the furniture and seeped into the walls. His side of the bed remained perpetually cold, the indentation from his head on the pillow a cruel fading memory. His favorite mug, with a chipped rim and a picture of a cartoon spaceship, sat unwashed in the sink. I couldn't bring myself to move it. Moving it felt like admitting he was truly gone, that he wouldn't be coming back to fill it with his ridiculously sweet coffee. Grief is a strange, disorienting thief. It steals your appetite, your sleep, your ability to form coherent thoughts. It had robbed me of the vibrant colors of my life with Liam, leaving behind a world rendered in muted grays. We were supposed to have a lifetime. We were supposed to argue about what to name our future dog, grow old on a porch with a squeaky swing, and travel the world one messy, unplanned road trip at a time. Instead, I was 24 and a widow before I was ever a wife. My phone, a device that had once been a source of joy, a constant stream of Liam's witty texts and silly selfies, had become an object of dread. Every notification was a painful reminder of the one message I would never receive again. I was scrolling through old photos of us, a masochistic ritual I had developed, when the screen lit up with a new message. My heart did a painful lurch. It was from Liam. My breath hitched. My fingers trembled as I tapped on the notification. The name was there, clear as day, Liam 3, and beneath it, a single cryptic sentence: "The world turned upside down. Go see." For a long moment, I just stared at the screen, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and disbelief. It had to be a mistake, a glitch in the system, or a crueler thought, a sick prank. Maybe one of his friends, in a misguided attempt to, what? Comfort me? Torture me? I thought of Ben, Liam's best friend. He was devastated by Liam's death, but he was also the kind of person who might think a grand, mysterious gesture was a good idea. I almost deleted the message, dismissed it as a painful anomaly, but the words echoed in my mind. The world turned upside down. It was the kind of strange, poetic thing Liam would say. He had always seen the world through a different lens, finding magic in the mundane. Against my better judgment, a sliver of something, not hope, but a desperate, aching curiosity, took root in my heart. I knew exactly where he meant. There was a quirky little antique shop downtown called The Looking Glass. We had stumbled upon it during one of our aimless walks. The shop was a chaotic treasure trove of forgotten things, but its centerpiece was a massive, ornate mirror with a slightly warped surface, hanging from the ceiling at a precarious angle. It reflected the entire shop, but everything was inverted, upside down. Liam had been fascinated by it. He had pulled me in front of it, and we had stared at our distorted, inverted reflections, laughing until our sides hurt. "See, Alara?" He had whispered, his breath warm against my ear. "Sometimes you have to look at things from a different perspective to truly see them." My hands moved on their own accord. I pulled on a pair of jeans and Liam's old, worn-out hoodie, the one that still smelled faintly of him, of sawdust and old books. The drive downtown was a blur. I parked a block away from the Looking Glass and walked, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The shop was just as I remembered it, a charming jumble of history and dust. The little bell above the door chimed as I entered, and the elderly owner, a woman with kind, crinkly eyes, gave me a soft smile. I barely registered her. My eyes were fixed on the giant, upside-down mirror. I stood before it just as we had all those months ago. My reflection stared back at me, a pale, haunted version of myself, her world flipped on its head. I saw the ghost of Liam's reflection beside mine, his familiar, lopsided grin, the way his eyes would crinkle at the corners when he smiled. A wave of grief, so powerful it almost buckled my knees, washed over me. This was a mistake. A cruel, pointless exercise in self-torture. As I turned to leave, my eyes caught something tucked into the ornate frame of the mirror. A small folded piece of paper. With trembling fingers, I pulled it out. It was a photograph, a Polaroid. It was a picture of me taken on that day, standing in this very spot, looking up at the mirror with a look of pure, unadulterated joy on my face. A picture I had never seen before. A picture Liam must have taken. My phone buzzed in my pocket, the sound unnaturally loud in the quiet shop. Another message from Liam, where the stars fell to Earth, the planetarium, our third date. Liam, a self-proclaimed science nerd, had been in his element. He had held my hand in the dark, his thumb tracing circles on my palm as he whispered stories of constellations. And nebulae, his voice filled with a contagious sense of wonder. He had made the vast, intimidating universe feel intimate, like a secret we shared. This time, I didn't hesitate. The planetarium was on the other side of town, but I drove like a woman possessed. The building was closed for the day, but I knew from our previous visits that a side door was often left unlocked. It was a long shot, but I had to try. The door clicked open under my touch. The air inside was cool and still. The main theater was a cavernous dome of darkness. I navigated by the faint glow of the emergency exit signs, my footsteps echoing in the silence. I found the row where we always sat, the one with the perfect view of the projected night sky. And there, on my seat, was a small, silver charm in the shape of a star. It was identical to the one on the necklace Liam had given me for our first anniversary. As I picked it up, the projector whirred to life. I flinched, expecting to be caught, but the dome above me remained dark. Instead, a single focused beam of light illuminated a small plaque on the wall, a plaque I had never noticed before. It was a dedication for the new projector, installed a few months ago. The main donor was Liam. Tears streamed down my face, hot and silent. This was too much, too elaborate for a prank. The intimacy of it, the attention to detail, it was all so undeniably Liam, but how? I sank into the plush seat, the star charm clutched in my hand, and let myself cry, not just for the man I had lost, but for the man I was rediscovering, the man who was still finding ways to show me the stars. The messages kept coming, each one a cryptic breadcrumb, leading me on a scavenger hunt through our shared history, where a kiss felt like coming home. The park bench overlooking the city, where we had shared our first kiss under a canopy of autumn leaves. Tucked into a crevice in the old wood, I found a pressed maple leaf, the exact shade of fiery red as the ones that had been falling around us that day. Where I love you was the only thing on the menu. The tiny family-owned Italian restaurant with the checkered tablecloths and the ridiculously romantic ambience. The owner, a bustling, warm-hearted woman named Sophia, greeted me with a sad smile. "He left this for you," she said, handing me a small sealed envelope. Inside was the receipt from our dinner that night, the night he had first told me he loved me. On the back, in his familiar, messy scrawl, was a single word, always. With each new location, each new token, a strange transformation was taking place within me. The heavy shroud of grief was still there, but it was now interwoven with a new thread. A thread of warmth, of love, of a mystery I was desperate to solve. I confronted Ben, my initial suspect. The confusion and awe on his face when I showed him the messages was genuine. He knew nothing. He was as mystified as I was. The line between the rational and the impossible began to blur. Was I losing my mind? Was this some elaborate, grief-induced hallucination? Or was it possible, just possible, that Liam had found a way to reach across the veil to send me one last message? The next text arrived a week after the first. It felt different, heavier, more final. Where I knew I couldn't live without you, bring the key. My heart hammered against my ribs. The key. It was a silly, cheap keychain he had won for me at a carnival, a tiny, detailed replica of a vintage film reel. And the place, the Orpheum, a beautiful, old, single-screen cinema, a relic from a bygone era. It was our sanctuary, the place we went to escape the world, to lose ourselves in the magic of stories. I arrived at the Orpheum late at night. The marquee was dark, the box office shuttered, the front doors were locked tight. I remembered Liam joking about the service entrance, how the lock was so old you could probably pick it with a paperclip, or perhaps a tiny film reel keychain. It was a ridiculous idea, but I was beyond caring about ridiculous ideas. I slid the edge of the metal keychain into the lock. It scraped and resisted, and then, with a soft click, the door swung open. The air inside was thick with the smell of popcorn and old velvet. A single light glowed from the projection booth. I walked down the aisle, my footsteps muffled by the thick carpet, and stood in the center of the empty theater. Suddenly, the projector flickered to life, not with a movie, but with a slideshow of photographs projected onto the massive screen. Photos of me. Candid shots, moments I didn't even know he had captured. Me, asleep on the couch, a book open on my chest. Me, laughing so hard my nose scrunched up, a smear of chocolate on my cheek. Me, concentrating on a painting, my tongue sticking out in concentration. And then the final image. A photo of me at the looking glass on our very first date, looking up at my own upside-down reflection with a look of wonder. A look I now recognized as the beginning of love. My phone vibrated one last time. I looked down at the screen, my vision blurred by a fresh wave of tears. I fell in love with you a little bit everywhere, Alara. First here, at the cinema, watching you get so lost in a story you forgot the world existed. Then at the antique shop, when you saw the beauty in the broken and the forgotten. At the planetarium, when you saw the universe in a speck of dust. On that bench, when your kiss felt like coming home. At the restaurant, when your smile was the only thing I saw. I wanted you to see it too, to see all the places you remade my world. I set this up before, just in case. A final scavenger hunt, my love story, told by the places where it grew. Ben has the originals, he promised to help. Live beautifully, Alara. Don't forget to look at the stars. The truth crashed over me, a wave of profound sorrow and overwhelming love. It wasn't a ghost, it wasn't a prank, it was a gift. A final, beautiful, heartbreakingly romantic gift from the man I loved. He had planned this, a final farewell, a way to guide me through my grief by reminding me of the beauty of our love. I sank into a seat, my body shaking with sobs, but for the first time in weeks, they were not just tears of pain. They were tears of gratitude, of a love so strong it had transcended the finality of death. He had given me a map, not to find him, but to find myself again, to find the girl who was capable of so much love and joy. I sat there for a long time in the quiet darkness of our sanctuary, watching the photos of our life together play out on the screen. The silence of the apartment was waiting for me, but it no longer felt empty. It was filled with the echoes of our love, with the memories of the places where we had built our world. I walked out of the Orpheum and into the cool night air. I looked up at the sky, a vast dark canvas sprinkled with distant, glittering stars. The grief was still there, a familiar ache in my chest, but it was no longer a crushing weight. It was a part of me now, a testament to the love I had been so lucky to experience. I see it, Liam, I whispered to the stars. I see it all.